Well, that's a loaded question.
You're the janitor, right?
I'm the janitor. I am the janitor. I definitely call myself the janitor all the time. And that comes from my father, right? My father says all the time, and I quote him, if you can't respect the janitor, then you have no respect for yourself, right? So the guy who keeps the place clean, turns the lights on, and has the keys to everything is the janitor, which is as close to the boss as you're ever going to get. So it's the most important person in the building. So that's why I say that. I know you hear me say that all the time. You look at me sideways, but it also defers people from asking me for payments.
Oh, no, can't do it. Nope, we just got to run it.
Let's run it. We'll
Okay.
run it.
Do me a favor and clap. Okay. Devon Frasier,
Yes, sir.
thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come through. I appreciate you.
I am excited to be here.
Devon, can you tell me what it is that you do here and how this whole place came about?
Ooh. Well, that's a loaded question.
You're the janitor, right?
I'm the janitor. I am the janitor. I definitely call myself the janitor all the time. And that comes from my father, right? My father says all the time, and I quote him, if you can't respect the janitor, then you have no respect for yourself, right? So the guy who keeps the place clean, turns the lights on, and has the keys to everything is the janitor, which is as close to the boss as you're ever going to get. So it's the most important person in the building. So that's why I say that. I know you hear me say that all the time. You look at me sideways, but it also defers people from asking me for payments.
Oh, no, I get it. I totally get it. All right, so how did this place, all right, so where am I?
So we are in the historic Sistrunk area in downtown Fort Lauderdale.
And why did you invite me here?
Why did I invite you here? Because you're the best in the business.
You brought me into, quote unquote, the culture.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
To me? Or to me, the culture, I mean, that's a loaded question. So the culture to me is the vibration of the community, the energy and the backstory of the neighborhood. And every neighborhood and every city and every state and country, everybody has their own culture. Here in South Florida, Sistrunk's history is derived from two philanthropist doctors which is Dr. Sistrunk and Dr. Mizell, when the blacks couldn't get, childcare or babies couldn't be delivered in white hospitals, they opened a hospital here called Provident, and they were delivering back black babies. We're on the other side of the red line, on the other side of the tracks. So this community is known for music, culture, arts, entertainment, and I mean, the people in this neighborhood built downtown Fort Lauderdale. So that's where we're at. What does it mean to me? It means so much to me that what we're doing right now is history. Right this second, we're making history. Every day that we open is history. I mean, we are, for us, you and I, as I look at you behind the camera, you and I working together was not something that was done 60, 70, 80 years ago. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. Tell me more.
Well, I'm telling you that, I mean, it's a color line, right? It's where segregation. This corner, this was the black side of the street, and whites wouldn't be here, and vice versa on the other side of the tracks. I mean, I think that just sitting here with you interviewing me, asking me questions, I think it's a historical moment just for this corner, on the corner of 6 and 9.
Hispanics were involved in this as well?
I mean, listen, yes, Hispanics. Yeah, it's not just blacks. Blacks and browns and people of, all nationalities. Caribbean, West Indian. I mean, this side of the track was a more impoverished neighborhood.
Okay.
That's what it is. So now it's being, redeveloped. It's the only land left in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It's spreading like wildfire, and the redevelopment in this neighborhood is beautiful to see.
What is this place? What is it that you're doing here with this place?
So on the corner of 6th and 9th, what we've done is we've created an incubator space, right? I call it the ecosystem. There's a lot of thought that was put into this space because we had to open more than one business in order to function, right? We're in a neighborhood that's not fully developed yet. it was when we got here, it was about 5 years too early, right? But you have to get in at a good number. So we came in early enough, and we put 4 businesses in this ecosystem, so each business can feed off each other, right? The goal there for us is we have a barbershop, we have a studio, which you're now taking care of for us, and I'm very happy to have you here. We have a restaurant base and an executive center. So what each business does is able to feed each other, and it's also able to bring multiple walks of life into one building to accomplish one goal, which is unity for us.
How did this land on your lap?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna get into the backstory of where I came from, but this landed on my lap. I mean, honestly, it was by sheer coincidence. A friend of mine, good friend of mine, big shout out to Jonathan in Salem. Yes. I was actually having lunch with him, and he said, "I need you to come down and check out this building." I was doing transport at the time. It was during the pandemic, which we could talk about that too. Johnny asked me to come take a look at it. I ended up meeting the owner and operator of the building. At that time, we realized that we knew each other from before in real estate, and he walked me in the space, and it was a blank space. It was like a white canvas, right? And you have to have vision in anything that you do. So I had to foresee what we were going to do. And he said, "I'll give you 72 hours. Why don't you go ahead and tell me what you do? I have other people bidding on it. And if your idea is good enough, I'll give you a shot." So I was like, all right, well, I'll come up with something. I was in Oklahoma. I ended up flying out to Oklahoma because, we were part of the marijuana industry as well. We have a dispensary and a grow out in Oklahoma, legal, obviously. And I was sitting with a buddy of mine, Will. Big shout out to Big Will. And I was at a nightclub. I think it was we did a grand opening for one of the dispensaries, and we threw a big party. And I'm at the back of the corner of the bar, and I'm just sketching on a napkin, the different ideas. Like, how can I put 4 businesses under one roof? Because then I can have 4 streams of income in this particular project that can feed off each other. And, I tossed a couple different ideas back and forth. I think I've told on the podcast before, the barbershop was going to be a furniture store. We were just moving some things back and forth, and I wanted to look and take a real initiative to look at the demographic of the neighborhood and see what would the neighborhood need, right? And that's one avenue and vertical of it. And then the next vertical is not just what it needs, but what will be best, what's the best and highest and best use to effectively bring change to the community. And that's a deeper thought than just profit, So what I ended up doing is just in the idea stage of it is, how do I re-engineer or reverse engineer building a community center that's also for profit? And that's what we created here. Everything here is like, it's a hybrid. Yes, it's a barbershop, but it's also a training facility. Yes, it's a studio, but you could also learn, earn, and work, and potentially learn a trade here. In the executive center, it's all small businesses, grinding every day at a lower cost, but working and networking with each other to grow and build their business. Yes, it's a kitchen, it's a restaurant, outdoor seating, but we can train for Surf Save. We can give different opportunities to different vendors to be able to have the opportunity to cook in the kitchen. And I wanted to be able to create different opportunities. God bless you. And I think that that was our highest and best use. I came back. I submitted the idea on a napkin, which is super genuine, because I didn't have time to actually do a proposal. And 72 hours were up, and I was chosen. I don't think it was just a napkin of why I was chosen. I mean, the landlord knows my history in real estate. I mean, I understand the culture, the connections, and I understand what it's going to take. I think it's the tenacity, too, because this is not an easy project.
What were the things that were difficult about this project?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's difficult about any project or any entrepreneur starting or working to start a business is your partnerships, and then your vision, right? You try not to veer from the vision, but when you're working with a blank canvas, everything you envision, you have to turn into reality. So that becomes, difficult. You work with, I have a great interior designer. Big shout out to Nicole, best in the game. We started with our renderings, and then, your rendering is one thing. but actually making it a reality is very, very difficult, and I tried to hit it like 95% of what the rendering is. I'm really big on that. If you're going to propose something, try to get as close to reality as possible. So then it becomes sourcing. Now you got to source all the product and all the material and get the right tradesmen. And, we hired everybody within the community. We probably pumped anywhere between $270,000 to $350,000 in the community through trades, work, AC, plumbing, cleanup, flooring, windows, glass. I mean, that was the goal. The goal was to pump, while you build a project, also provide opportunity to the community along the way. So from the day that we got here, it was pump and give opportunity to the community, right? Give back the jobs, let people work, let the neighborhood know. And those are, obviously those are just daily issues that you're going to have with building anything, right? You're going to have those issues. But the real true uphill battle was trying to effectively bring gas underground to this building, put a hood system between 3 floors, right? Because you got to cut through the floors, right? Make the kitchen downstairs wasn't there. It was just an office space. Now you got to turn it into a kitchen. The engineering work for that, working with MOT, DOT, with City of Fort Lauderdale, with permitting, with zoning, with the CRA. I mean, there's so many components to getting it done. It takes a structured group of people to make that happen. And those things are just, it's difficult, but I personally like challenge. So since I like challenge, it's just a stress that took us a long time. It took us a long time to get there. And it's hard for people. You have a vision in your head, and I've always been like this, right? I have a vision. I see it. And I don't really communicate it all out up front. Like, this is one of the first times I'm having an interview about what we actually did here. Comfortable to do so, but I really don't know what it's going to be until I start to build it, right? So, and it was hard for people to see what we were doing, because if you walk through the space, from the time you walk through the front door, every time you move between our bays, which is different sides of the building, nothing is the same. Everything has its own identity. It's almost, the kitchen is a kitchen. The executive center, different colors, different vibe, different feel. Then the barbershop and the studio. So to be able to take those things and open them all at the same time, it was an undertaking that I probably I want to say this, right? I took on more than I could chew. But once you start chewing it, you got to finish it, right? So, biggest thing is finishing. Finishing was difficult. And then just everything that comes with being able to do it. This project allowed me to use every bit of what I've learned in my past and other businesses, other areas of life. It took everything just to get it where it is. And I enjoyed it, but it was a difficult time getting there.
What was the biggest choke point?
Ooh, the delays with the CRA and funding, which is a community redevelopment association. And can I take this? Okay. Hey, Pete, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm right in the middle of shooting this podcast and they're rolling. Are you guys coming here? Are you guys coming? No. Okay, all right, hold on. I'm not leaving. I was gonna finish this podcast and then they're gonna come. So yeah, they'll just call and I'll get them in. All right, keep rolling. Oh, okay. So it's gonna be it's funding. In any business, it's funding, right? It's having consistent funding to do your project. And in this project, a lot of it's personal funding, right? Personal money. Nobody wants to put money into a startup business, especially one that's never been done before, right? To put money into something that has never been done before, it's a risk take, right? It's a high risk. And then the only collateral would be the person doing it, right? So all of it's on my head. I put a lot of my own personal funds in there. I was able to get different investors and friends to put money in with me. Thank you to all of you. Everybody will get their money back. And I got CRA funding. Personal anecdote is that during this process, I had 2 additional investors, right? And they're close friends of mine. Nobody really knows, but I lost both of them. I had funding that I had secured. One of my friends was, big shout out to G, your family, we love you. One day he was good. The next day he was in the hospital with a staph infection. 3 days later, he was gone. It's $150,000 that I could not ask his family for it anymore, right? Can't do that, which was heartbreaking. And forget the money. I'll take him back over the money any day of the week. But I have to keep pushing on now, right? I then have another good friend of mine, almost brother, Allende Stanley. Big shout out to you and your family. He's coming in. He knows that I lost this person. He then's going to put 250 in. We have a piece of property that we both own together. We put it up for sale. And it's sad to say, but he lost his life 2 weeks later. And it was like, what is God telling me? And I obviously can't go. I can take whatever funds I get from the property, but I also got to wait. You're not going to just go again and ask the family. And, people don't know that was a big challenge for me, right? People don't understand that I could have sped up the project a little bit faster, but within 1 year, within 365 days, I lost 2 of my closest friends. Again, forget the money. And I lost the investment for the project. So now I have to continue to fund it on my own. And in that same time, the world is changing, right? It's becoming a little less secure. There's a lot less disposable money that can be put out there, right? And that's what people need to, everything's about timing. As the world is changing, we're just coming back from the pandemic, right? Building costs are rising. And this is all real life stuff. You're trying to make it through as fast as you can. But, the economy shook a little bit. So that slows down people giving you funding. But again, you muscle through it. I had some delays with funding with the CRA. Big shout out to CRA. I think you guys did a wonderful job. Could we have expedited funding us? Yeah, we could have. Could we given us more money? Yes, we could have. But I had to go back for another round of funding from them after I had these losses. And then I don't want to call some of the work we had to put into this thing so much challenges. I think we took on the responsibility to build it out, so it's on us. It's on us. So, I think some of those funding was a big choke point. Timing, sometimes people don't realize what people don't realize. And I say this openly because it affects everybody, and there's nothing. I'm not saying anything bad about a particular individual, but sometimes when you have to wait for permits, and timing and delay, all those delays cost you money. We're not a large developer. We're a small business doing something, again, that has never been done before. And timing and delays can break your back. And it put a serious strain on us, but we made it through, Oh, man. There's going to be choke points to anything, right? And I think moving forward, I really think it's all gas, no brakes from here, personally. But that's also me so passionate about the project that I don't see it failing. So I don't know what the next choke point's going to be. I think that we have the right tenants. We have the right people. Timing is now. I think it's just, we got to put in more work. The good thing, though, when we did this, I think what I left out is that when I decided to get everybody together and we became a team and we decided to do this, this is ultimately a franchise play. In order to build a franchise or build anything, you have to have the first model, right? And we had to go through a lot because there's a lot of education that comes with this, right? If we close tomorrow, I'm an expert in city grants, funding, opportunity zone, placement, replacement of funding from the different departments in different cities and counties, actually all over the country now, which I paid for that education, right? Which I could go and do anything with that. But in this case, we're going to duplicate what we're doing here. It will be a lot less strenuous because now that I know how to acquire and I know what time it takes and what is in front of me, I can expedite and duplicate the process. So some of the cities of interest, there's got to be 19 to 20 if I look at the calendar, different cities who have walked this project. So I had to build it, right, and walk you through it. Like I said, about 19 cities have come. West Palm's one of them. Pompano is another one of them. Fort Myers is one of them. Tampa, downtown Tampa. Seabrings. Those are the ones that I've already gotten commitments from. And when I mean commitments, they're interested in the project. Now I need to bring it to life. Moving forward, the growth will be exponential. I think our location where we are right now, we're right in that time period where it's just about to blow, right? I say that because now you see cranes everywhere. Now you see all the high rises. You now see people walking Sistrunk that you never would have seen before. I think that's it's a matter of time at this point. Born in New York, but I'm a Florida boy. I mean, New York is written in my blood. It's in my veins. But I went to high school down here. The South. I grew up in the South. They're down here in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, played ball, played football, wrestled. Didn't take it too serious. Should have taken it serious. I was actually pretty good, but I focused more on money. You know, money was always the motive for me. I mean, I was working since I was 15. I worked at Sawgrass Mall. I worked at Diesel. I worked at a place called Big Dogs and Just for Feet. I had 3 jobs. When I would leave school, I go to one job, work a 4-hour shift, go to the next job. Because at that time, Sawgrass would close at 10. I'd be out of school by 2, right? Each day, I lived in the mall. I could close my eyes and walk through the mall in the back and know where everything was, right? I had 3 jobs in the mall, and that's all I did when I would work, and then I did club promotions. I ended up getting picked up by a company called Up All Night. Big shout out to Angel and the boys in Miami Beach. A friend of mine, Julie Lewis, big shout out to you. She introduced me to them, and then this is a pivotal time, and Broward and Dade really weren't rocking together, but everybody from Broward wanted to get in every nightclub in Miami, and somebody gave me the keys to the nightclub, like all of them, just invite my people down, from Coconut Grove to South Beach. This when South Beach was hot. So it was Coconut Grove, right? Huh? 90, you're talking 93, 94, 5, 6, 7 to early 2000s. This is like coming through. I was in high school at 16 and I was in the clubs in Miami, all of them, and marketing and this one flyering and, all that good stuff was there. So I was part of that, very heavily involved in Dade and Broward. That's kind of why my black book is so thick, right? I think that New York blood in me. I go anywhere, and I would have, like, I was running back. I had the 3 jobs in Sawgrass. I was a party promoter, and I did that 16, 17, 18 till I was like 18, and I got lucky and was able to get 1 retail job. So I was in retail since 15. And then I ended up going into retail. But this year, cigars were big, right? Cigar aficionado. I got a job with a Jewish friend of mine, Mr. Schatzman, big shout out to you. He opened a cigar bar in Weston, and I ended up going to work at the cigar bar. And he's like, I don't want you to work at Sawgrass anymore. I kept one of my 3 jobs because I love Just for Feet. I love sneakers, so I always had to stay there. But he was cool. I only worked that on certain weekends. He let me work at the cigar bar. It's called Havana Republic, if anybody remembers, right? And the place blew up. It was my first time as a young man. I'm dealing with the highest wealth in the city. Like, you're not going to be in a cigar bar if you don't have money, right? You can afford a cigar, but when you're selling humidors and lighters that are $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, it's a different class of people. And there was a bar in the back and a lounge, and you had to be a member. And at this point, this is my first time getting to understand the different levels of money, like class of people. So I was there 18, and then I started a clothing company. It's called Enemy. And as I'm doing these things, and I'm telling you, I'm still working. I always was working. I'm in my senior year. I left school at 12 because I was doing that OJT program. So I was always on the grind, right? Working, money was the motto, right? And I think gravitating between all the jobs and moving into different class ranges because of a job, I couldn't afford things in the cigar bar. Like I couldn't afford these lighters and all this other stuff, but I got to meet people who could. That helped me understand. I got a lot of knowledge from a lot of people that I would have never that I would have never had the chance to meet otherwise. I'm going through an evolution right now. Our clothing line, it blew up. I mean, we were doing. I'm 19. We're doing $500,000-$600,000 in t-shirts. I have a gentleman. Big shout out to Ruben and Manny. I ended up having a gentleman from Dominican Republic. I ran into him. He was an amazing artist. He's actually one of the top 3 in the world right now. His name's Ruben Ubiera. Love him to death. And he helped me start a clothing company, and we just, it was part of everything. We were making our own shirts in the back of the house, selling them in the front. We sold them all over the country. And at the same time that I'm doing that, Mr. Schatzman from the cigar bar is now duplicating his stores. I helped him open a retail store in Riverfront, which is downtown Fort Lauderdale, one in Sunset Place and basically in Miami, and then we opened one in Vegas. So I think along the way of me doing these things, I got to learn retail, opening, closing. I've always handled money. And also being an entrepreneur with my clothing company and doing the marketing with the clubs, it just put me into a position of for me, it's like, because now I'm revisiting it in my head, I was so blessed to be able to meet the amount of people and touch different people, different lives, see different things. When you're exposed to so many different things, it's easier to articulate and it's easier to walk through life with all different people, all different ways of life. It's just easier to adapt. And that helped me get, pretty far. I mean, opening up the different stores, the clothing line. I took my clothing brand to New York to try to sell it. This is around the time of like Mark Echo and everything. B-Boys, you're a B-Boy, right, Chris?
Yep.
We used to do all the sponsors, all the pro-ams. I mean, I took a Hummer around the country, like selling shirts. We filmed it. This is way before reality TV. And we were going to sell the concept. I ended up making my first big business mistake of my life with my clothing company because of impulse. And my business acumen isn't where it was today.
What was the problem?
When you love something so much and you fall in love with your business, you don't have control anymore of what the right decision is, right? At this particular time, once you have a certain amount of units in sales, people are now interested in you. Once there's interest in you and then you start to put your product out there, you start to take meetings in high-level rooms, right? I was going to every magic show, which magic show is like the largest clothing show in the country. Actually, it's international, so it's in the world. It's usually held in Vegas. Do your research. At this time, this is before major internet, so you have to go to the show in order to get your products, your materials, the new zipper, and every clothing show, every clothing company has a booth because all the buyers come in, right? So through that show and our name getting out with sales, I wanted to sell the company or partner with the company with another company like FUBU or Mark Echo or Fat Farm. Like we were trying to do a partnership deal. Except I'm only 19. I'm only 19. I'm the head of the market. I'm the marketing director for a company. I'm still working retail job, and helping them open stores. So my life was so fast at that time. I met everybody. I've been a salesman my whole life. My father's a salesman. I could sell anything, right? So I met everybody that you can meet in the clothing industry, and I took my business. I used to walk around. I had a large portfolio, but my designer was very, very, very strategic. I had a huge metal briefcase. You open it, and as you pop it up, all the designs would come up. It was just perfect. He gave me the tools I needed to get us where we needed to go. The sales were showing his projections. I go to a magic show, set up meetings in New York 2 weeks after the show. I made sure everybody knew who I was meeting with, and there's where the mistake happened. I spoke too fast. Here's a name people don't know, Vincent Nessie, right? He's a backbone to Urban Apparel, right? Russell Simmons, right? Fat Farm. Janice Cameron, that's Perry Ellis. Like, these were people that I had set up meetings with, but I let them all know that I was meeting with them, each of them. I meet Russell. He's not ready to acquire anything at this point, but he's looking at Mark Echo. There's a bunch of us trying to sell our stuff. And it's a boardroom in New York. I spent a week in New York walking through the clothing district, fashion district. I meet with him. He doesn't make an offer. I meet with somebody else. I don't want to drop a name because it just probably shouldn't do it. And they offer me $3.5 million for the brand. And that's right on the table, and we can all be involved. And I was like, all right, well, that's not good enough. I go to another one. All these meetings were set. I had 3 days in New York to make this happen. So back to back, I walked everywhere. Go to the next one. I meet with Mr. Nessie. He offers me a lot more money, like $6 million. I'll take it, but I just want the kid, which the kid was a designer. Here's my business mistake. I am so emotional about my business. I built it, right? You can't just take him. You got to take us all. Or no fucking deal. Who am I? In hindsight, I should have taken the deal. Let him have the designer, cashed out my money, and opened something else. That's the business acumen of today. I was so in love with it that I wanted the highest, best, and I wanted to stay a part of it. I felt like I was giving something up. I mean, obviously that's emotion, right? My emotions are getting the best of me. So now I'm looking at the number go from 3.5 to 6. I'm thinking to myself, somebody's going to give me a better number. I meet 3 more people in New York. I'm like, all right, their offers are decent, but not what I want. First of all, I should have just been happy that I was getting anything, right? But it wasn't clicking. Told Mr. Nessie no. From the time I got on the plane, JFK, I was at a $6 million number. By the time I landed in Florida, $1 million was where we're at. Because in business, everybody knows everybody. This kid just walked in and told me no. He thinks he thinks he knows too much. So once that happens, now you don't realize, right? Oh shit, I've been in the air 3 hours and my value just dropped. Why? Because they all talk to each other. Bring the value down and then make him an offer. Or he's got to do it. He's got to keep doing the business himself. By the time I landed, my partners were so pissed because I said no to the offer without communicating with them. Biggest business mistake you could ever make in your life is not communicate with your partner. But I had a meeting in Florida. People don't know Perry Ellis is based in Florida, actually in Doral. I had a meeting in Perry Ellis, and this is how I knew my value went down. I went to Perry Ellis, I spoke to Janice, wonderful woman. And she said, she's a good friend of mine. She said, you fucked up. I said, why? She said, there's an email that you met everyone, and you told Nessie no. So now, nobody's going to go against this. It's like, if you want to make a stock drop, you pull out one piece of the puzzle. And she said, your piece is gone. And she's telling me this as I'm about to walk into the meeting with the board of directors with Perry Ellis. And she was like, you better take whatever we offer. And I was like, and she's like, I'm telling you that as a friend. She's like, I can only imagine the shit you're dealing with your partners because significant amount of money. Perry Ellis ends up offering me. I go into the meeting. I can barely swallow. And at this moment, I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. And I have to deal with my partners. So I ended up brokering a deal. We still make some money. I think we walk with $1.1 million, which really didn't come to us because we had to pay all our debt off. And we all basically cashed out. The artists went with Perry Ellis for a little bit. They bought 2 or 3 of our sneaker designs. We had sneakers, jeans, 2 or 3 of our sneaker designs, and I had to do a non-compete. So now, like 19, I think I cashed out 210 personally, which for me it was a successful mission because it was something that I loved, but it was the hardest, harsh reality wake up experience I've ever received, because when you think you know too much and you love your product too much, you're not going to be able to see what you're not seeing things the same. So that was a huge mistake, and I learned a lot from that too. It was very expensive mistake. And my partners, they know, my main investor knew that. I mean, I got us there sales wise, so it was my deal to fuck up, but it also wasn't my deal to fuck up. So it was definitely difficult. So 200, I think I got 210. All my other partners got a little more because I screwed the deal up. I still was working with the cigar bar, so now I go into like a slight bit of depression. I moved to Vegas. I moved to Vegas to open I only moved to Vegas for 9 months, I think it was. 19, going on 20. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to Vegas. Open a store out there for him. Because the cigar bar was paying me, and I just got 210. I'm like, fuck it, let's... And there was a slight bit of... I mean, I don't want to say depressed. I didn't want to show my face. Because in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, I just gave my baby away. Right? So I slide out. I'm going to just put it on my back, go out to Vegas for 8-9 months. I open Havana Republic in the Paris Hotel, which, again, being in another city at that young with money, you're learning, you're meeting so many people. I mean, being able to open the casino, like once you're a GM of a store, you can walk when the casino closes, you still can walk in and out, right? But to see such a massive business work, it's, I found so much interest in it. So I found so much interest in that type of stuff. But then I had this urge to learn real estate, and I'm out there in Vegas having a good time, getting paid to be in Vegas, and I am still in retail. And I come home after 8 months of being gone. By like 20, turned 20, end of my 20th year, and I have an afro, I have a tongue ring, like I'm slim, and a good buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor. I want you to come work for me," and I end up going to work for a title company, and at that moment, my entire life changed. Or I was on course for my entire life to change. I ended up leaving the cigar bar after being with them for four or 5 years, whatever that was. I started focusing on real estate, and I learned. My job was I was a courier. I was at the bottom of the food chain. So this is before DHL, FPL, same day couriering. These guys are paying me $100 for every delivery, and I'm doing 8 to 10 of them a day. Right, and I was smoking my weed, had my hair, had my tongue ring. It was cool. I was driving in my car. That's all I had to do. So I was like, this is cool. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, I get to with my buddy. I'm like, I got to do something with this money. So at 21, I bought my first house. Because I said, once I got my job in real estate, I spent 8 months at the company, and I got to realize what home ownership really would mean to me and what it would do for an investment for myself. So I did that. I got to that accomplishment by getting in real estate. I got an opportunity that would change my life. It was my buddy we're short a closer. I'm looking at my first house, and at the same week I'm looking at my first house because I'm making good money just being a courier. I get thrown into a closing, right? And my buddy's like, "Look, just read the bold print. You're articulate, kid. You can get through it." Big hair, tongue ring. I'm like, okay, go inside. I read the closing, and I realized at that moment that this was what I was going to do for a long period of time in my life because I loved the satisfaction of helping somebody get into their home, right? And from that moment, I left the closing. I ended up doing the closing in like 30 minutes. People were happy. They would have never known that it was my first closing. I didn't have my notary yet, so I had to do it with a notary in the room so that she could be the witness. And I came out in 30 minutes, and the owner of the company came over to me and goes, "Holy shit, that usually takes an hour and a half, especially if you've never done it before. I want you to cut your hair, take out the fucking tongue ring, and I'll give you a real job. And I was like, damn, do I really want to do that? I mean, I used to have my braids all the way down to my head. And I was like, it's time to grow up. The same week, I'm buying a new house. I bought my first house at 21. They did the closing. It was me. And it wasn't just me. It was me and my partner, who was my partner in the clothing company, Manny. Big shout out to you. We bought our first house in Hampton Lakes in Weston. I was like, I'm paying a mortgage. And I just got a job, man. Like I'm in corporate America now. Cut my hair, take my tongue ring out. And now I'm doing like back office processing. So there's not a school for title. Title is something you learn because somebody gave you an opportunity. That's what's really special about title. People don't realize that. Either that or you become a lawyer. So it's you either go to law school or somebody teaches it to you. I happen to be able to get the opportunity to work in the company, and I took off from there. I ended up putting myself, there was a lady who was like the head lady. She had a little space in her office. I put a small desk. I asked her, and I just lived in her office and just listened to her every day. And I was doing processing paperwork. And then at this time, this is the boom. This is the Clinton era. This is Bill Clinton era. This is when regulations were gone and money wasn't a thing. Like, you're talking about, I'm going through history with you at this point of my life, realizing how old I am at this moment. Regulations are gone. Mortgages are going crazy. We're doing what we were doing at that time, the amount of business, you can't even fathom it. Like, I didn't realize at the time that I was in the middle of the mortgage boom. I didn't even know what that meant. But anybody could get a mortgage. Right? Anybody could get a mortgage. You had a heartbeat, you got a mortgage. You had a social, you get a mortgage. I figured if there's regulators and there's people, there's laws, and there's nothing wrong. No, in hindsight now, obviously we had a crash later, right? The reason I'm saying that is the sheer volume of business of what we were doing. Everybody had Lambos, and this is Miami, right? So everybody got Lambos, cars, boats, houses. Being around this type of income at that young age, I call it like young athlete money, young artist money. Nobody taught you what to do with it. Only good thing is that I worked so much I couldn't spend it fast enough, right? I didn't have that issue. I don't really like jewelry. I didn't like cars. You know what I'm saying? I like to hang out, trips and stuff, right? So I get the opportunity, and I'm sitting with the lady. I'm hiding in her office, and I'm like listening to everything she says, and I'm learning the business. And I get another opportunity. I have the head salesperson for the company. He's like, look, I'm taking you out tomorrow. I'm going to teach you to be a marketing director. I said, well, I already have this job. They're like, no, you can keep that job. We just want you to talk to the black community, the brown community, and see if you can get mortgage brokers and realtors to send us business. So I was like, oh shit, at this point I have two jobs. I'm the courier and I'm working in the office. Now you want me to get a third job. I've always, my brain's like that. I can multitask like that. I need it too because I have ADHD, right? So the more things I do, the better for me. So they teach me to sell. Well, you're not teaching me to sell. You're telling me who my target audience is, and you want me to go knock on doors. No doubt, let's do it.
And they're going to pay you to do it.
And you're going to pay me to do it. And I'm getting paid for the other two jobs. But I lived at this place. I'm there 10, 11 o'clock at night. You teach me to sell. Now I'm getting paid to bring in the business. I'm paying commission for my deals. I'm getting a salary for working, and I'm delivering checks. I only got to deliver checks for 4 months because then I got so busy I couldn't do it, and it really wasn't worth it at that point. But I ended up learning the business to, as the owner would say, I learned his entire business model, and I was able to do the whole thing from soup to nuts, which I just dug deep at that time. I spent 1.5 years doing this business for you, right? But I also learned it. I learned it to the point that later in life I opened my own, right? We're going to get to that. As we're doing this, I've always been a creator of some sort. So we have a problem. Here's our problem. How do you close 500 people, 500 to 700 people in a month, and do it successfully? So it's like, listen, we're all in a meeting, and I'm like, look, why don't we do this? We're going to do closings outside the office. It's never heard of at the time. Meaning, if you and your wife go to work, I'm going to be at your house at 7 o'clock to do a closing at your house. Because we're doing so many refis we're doing so many refis. Let me reverse that. We're doing so many purchases that you don't have time to put people in the office to do a refinance. So we had to come up with a solution. So now we're doing outside closings. The reason I'm telling you this is because it's a part of me that is to innovate, right? A part of me is to be a solution-based individual. And if I can generate profit along the way, I'm going to do that. We now created a whole new business, mobile notaries. Mobile notary, mobile closings. Don't come to us, we'll come to you. Nobody else was doing it. So now, I introduced something new to a business that was never done before, and it took off. Everybody later in life, now till today, everybody does it now, right? And obviously now you could do like telenotary too, right? You could do Zoom notaries. We didn't have that then. So they gave me, I got to take a department now. So I have my 2 jobs and I get a department. The department was, you do all the mobile notaries. I used to drive to Lake Placid, from Lake Placid all the way down to Miami. I'd start at like 9 in the morning and close 15, 16 people for the day. I do that every day. So now I'm getting paid my commission if they're my files. I'm getting paid a mobile notary fee, which is $200 to $250 each one. Plus, I'm getting paid to do the actual transaction, the closing. That's when I learned what stacking meant. The key to this story with me and how we got to where we are is stacking. That's how this project got done. If you can take the same time that you spend right now and do multiple things on that same time and get paid for each one, that's what we consider stacking, right? You're not spending any additional time, right? While I'm doing one thing, I'm getting paid 3 ways. Later down the road, I stayed with them for 7 years. They give me an opportunity to open my own office on the west coast of Florida. I do that. I opened an office in Cape Coral. The market is going crazy. Crazy good. I mean, I learned how to do commercial, residential, and leasing in my first 2 years. I then learned how to manage all transactions and escrow account. I also then got to open my own office, which wasn't my company, it was their company. But this was my office, one of my branches. When I went to Cape Coral, I got fortunate enough to meet a builder and get their account. This builder's doing 1,000 closings a month. So they carve out 200 of them to give to my new firm, my new branch. And in exchange for doing it, they would teach me how to do new construction. Big shout out to Hanson Homes. In that time that I learned how to do new construction, I got to learn them like from the ground up construction. That's where the money's at. And I think that right there changed a pivotal moment in my life. I had left Weston, moved to Cape Coral, bought a whole new house. And then now I'm only 23, 24 at this time. I work there. I'm still working for the branch. I learned how to build the homes. I start getting investors to buy homes, buy land. I buy the entire block across from my street, 7 lots. And I got to wake up and watch the builder build my houses that I was financing. I didn't even know how I got here. I only did 2 years of college and I was gone because I was making money, right? I was learning on job as I was going. So I say all that to say that at some point I reached the glass ceiling. And when I reached that glass ceiling, I mean, the guys were great to me. I can't say anything negative about the guys at Allegiance. I love them. Big shout out to you, Felipe, Osmo. Y'all gave me the opportunity in my life. I got to reach that glass ceiling where I have a department. I have my own office and branch. We're doing $8 to $10 million in revenue, and I'm only getting a small piece of it. I think that's where every business owner, I got to the point where this is the stage where you as an employee realize you need to go on your own. So I was making capital. I was making money and income from building homes, doing investment deals, and running the business. But I wasn't getting everything. I asked for a partnership. They wouldn't give it to me. They offered me something, but it wasn't worth it to me. Because when you run a home, and I think every person who's an employee at some point that ends up being the general manager and running somebody else's business, and you see the bottom line numbers, you get to a point when you realize that the company's bringing in, let's call it, in our case, we're bringing in about $750,000 a month in net profit. My salary is $225,000 for the year. Something's not adding up. Yes, I had opportunity to build homes. They let me make money anywhere else I wanted to, but I was doing that off of my face. I was doing that off of my sweat and tears, right? So I ended up having to have a conversation with them, which is a very tough conversation when they're your friends. And anybody who's leaving their employer who put them in a position to win, it's a difficult conversation, but you have to have the conversation nevertheless. So I end up, speaking to them. They give me an offer. That offer wasn't what I wanted. I decided to, at this point, I've successfully stacked more money than I wish to disclose. And I asked them if I could get it. They tell me, no, the offer's not good. I tell them, I love you. I'm opening my own title company. This was in 2006. I shake their hand. Love you. Go to the front where the receptionist is. I tell her, listen, I'll be back for you in less than 8 weeks. I'll be back for you. I'm coming. You're coming with me. And I only said that because I put her in the position to work there anyway. She was my girl. She ended up later in life becoming my baby mama, but we'll get to that too. And I love you, Jessica, so much. I walk out. I get home. I turn on CNN, and the markets are crashing. You're talking about epic proportion of things our country has never seen since the Great Depression. You're talking about banks folding. Financial institutions you can't go and take your money out. You're talking about Jamie Dimon might go to jail. Like, he's JP Morgan Chase. He doesn't. Big shout out to you, Jamie. That's a whole. The bottom line is the real estate world has fallen out. Foreclosures at an all-time high. I just walked away from a gig. The company that I just left, they're in a state of panic. I'm sitting on a big bag. I'm sitting on a large investment that because all my homes I sold, I just moved back to Fort Lauderdale, and the markets are crashing. I'm like, okay, I have nothing in the market. I'm sitting on all this money. And I'm like, my investment paid off. So and I was going to open a new title company. Do I go back in real estate? What do I do? And I was like, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. When things get tough in a market, what would any of those gentlemen at the cigar bar tell me? First of all, the market's never bad. It's just what position are you in to take advantage of it? 2, when people are running away, you run towards it. And I remembered that. I'm like, shit, I remember that. I was 17 when they told me that. And I was like, I'm going to double down. I wait 2 months to see if the market stabilizes. It doesn't. We're in a complete spiral. Like, I got 4 TVs on, like, oh shit, this is insane. So I go into a textbook, right? And I'm like, if there's so many foreclosures, what is a solution to a foreclosure? And I realized this. We didn't have one. America didn't have a solution for what we were about to go through. We didn't even know what to do. Like, the amount of people, it was too much, too soon, too quickly. And I said, a light bulb went on my head. I said, let's open this fucking title company. I call the underwriter. I'm like, I'm ready to open. They're like, Devon, stop playing. I'm like, no. I'm going to open because everybody else is selling. I'm going to buy now. I came to the market. People thought I was crazy, insane. And I like that feeling. It's like when I did this, people thought I was insane. I said, if I'm insane, then there's something here. So I'm like, look, I find a problem. I need to do a solution. I said to myself, I'm like, we can take over this foreclosure game. Because at this point in time, everybody was selling their title companies. Everybody's out. You got to remember, in any business, but mostly here in South Florida, a lot of it's smoke and mirrors. A lot of it's big grandeur offices, too much staff, more cars than you need, salaries that don't make sense. And you know what? When the rug's pulled from out under you, first thing you do is you liquidate. The world starts to spiral. Everybody liquidates. So I'm like, buy. I didn't buy the companies because it made no sense. Your company's not worth shit. So I bought their websites. I bought everybody's web address. I call, hey, let me buy it. Like, I want your phone number too. Pennies on the dollar. I'm talking about $1,500, $1,000. People are losing their ass off. So now I'm in a different position. I'm like, I'm going to just do this. I did this. I probably spent 50 grand. And phone numbers and websites. Why? I did it to buy the problems. If you call that title company, you have to call them if you have a problem. Well, my phones are going to ring. This was in theory. Everything generated to one website. I put out a helpline. I put out a help email. And I bought some of the biggest title companies in Fort Lauderdale. Hands down. Nobody's working. I get a small office in Sunrise. It's me and the receptionist. A decent-sized office, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck did I just do? Is the phone going to ring, right? Within, 2 months, I got the money to pay rent. I'm pacing, not a lot of closings. There's nothing closing. Nobody's lending. So what I end up doing is we're going to focus on education. What's the solution? There's got to be a strategic way to manage foreclosures. How do you do this? So what's a short sale? Figure out what a short sale is. Her and I fly to Detroit because this is where Quicken is. We start going to all the corporate banks because the banks doesn't even know what the fuck to do, right? They don't have a process to liquidate their loans. They don't have that. Usually when the market was up, the bank forecloses, they sell your house, they get their money back. Well, guess what? They didn't know half of their internal departments were done. Like, they fired everybody. So nobody knows. So you can't even get in touch with the banks. You got to go. We start flying. Texas, LA, Detroit is where most of the banks are. And we're going, and I'm trying to meet people, getting cards, just because I need points of contact at the bank. And I'm a door knocker. Like, I'll give you a phone call. I'll call you. I'd rather see you in your face, right? So we do this, her and I. We come back. I'm 2 months into paying rent with no income. I outfitted the office nice. Like, I got a little office, but I made it look really pretty. Bamboo floors. Don't ever do bamboo floors, number one, ever. It's soft. Every time a woman steps with their heels, it leaves dents. I remember that. Very, very, I had to change them twice. Anyway, a sidebar, I saw a squirrel. 2 months into it, my Stewart rep is there. I think I made the biggest mistake in my life. And the phone rings. And it doesn't stop ringing. We doubled down, and we're about to win. I ended up starting with one employee. I was at 27 employees within 3 months. I only hired single mothers too, because for me I needed people to work. We were 27 people in 4 months. I didn't know what to do. We ended up moving out of that. We grew out of that office in less than a year. We go from there to the corner of Sunrise and Pine Island and Sunrise. Yeah, Sunrise. No. Anyway, we go to the corner, twice as big an office. We in the Bank United building, 27 of us, and I'm flying each of these girls to different banks. We end up writing the manual that is later used as the standard for short sales loan modifications. None of this was done before. It's paying off. We're growing so fast, it was unbelievable. And at the same time that we're growing, like the same gentleman at the cigar bar told me, when somebody's losing, there's always somebody to buy. We just turned zero sales into sales. Why? Because once you negotiate the house, there's somebody with money. Not everybody's broke, right? Not everybody borrowed money against their house. That's not what happened. There are people waiting. We call them sharks in the water. Just chum the water and they will come. And we now we were an asset company. We weren't a title company anymore. We had the asset. It didn't belong to us. So for $0, I would have a list of hundreds of homes at a reduced price. Now we have to start a sales division for it. Guess who wants to come talk to us? Every realtor in Florida. Everybody. Every hedge fund in New York. And from a title company to an asset manager of, it's not even our asset, but there's nobody working it. So what we do is we grind. We start working it. From there, a year later, took a whole floor on Pine Island, put a real estate company in there with me, and we were off to the races. And we became the third largest title company in the state of Florida. The only two above us were underwriters. They're the biggest in the world. Underwriters are the insurance company. I was remitting so much money that it just didn't make sense. It was all good business, but we also grew. We grew too fast, too quick. I re-engineered myself to get back into marketing by stacking, right? If we followed the concept through the podcast, my stacking ability for me is phenomenal. I ended up starting a marketing company. Marketing company marketed the title company, right? So I'm now doing event. Nobody has, remember, we're still in a recession. I'm doing all of these events at different places. Blue Martini, I'm renting it out. I have hundreds and hundreds of realtors, lenders, realtors. I would let them all get their little tables, $500 cheaper than anybody else. You think I cared about? I didn't care about what we were spending. I needed everybody. I wanted all the clients. And this is like the pivotal moment in my life where I start to realize that you can get greedy, right? You can be overzealous. You want to be, you get an accomplishment, you get somewhere, you got to find a place for satisfaction. Like you got to know, you got to set your goal and then your bar and your standard. And I think it goes back to that young athlete model that I was talking about, right? That like athlete money, like those boys make mistakes. Those artists make mistakes because they never had it. I say that again because as I'm doing the stack and I'm doing the events, and now I'm socially in the game, I'm marketing for other companies. I used to market for my competitors, right? So the marketing company is doing what it's supposed to do for the title company. The title company is doing what it needs to do for the asset company. The asset company is bringing in. You had to come to us to get real estate deals. You had to. We started to corner the market, and as we do that, I could say this. I could say this wholeheartedly. I lost sight. I lost sight to who I was, what my moral standard was. And, this is Miami. 2/3 of our business happens in a strip club. I could say that openly. That's in our business. We're out. It's always a party. It's the beach. So I think that type of lifestyle started to weigh on me. And it weighed on me to where, after 6-7 years at the top of the game, I personally, I don't believe nobody could touch us. You couldn't do anything without saying ad valorem title. You couldn't do it. You couldn't read your tax bill without seeing the name of my company. That's how strategic we are. That's how we move. I got chills because I advertise every year. I advertise to everybody all over the country. You read it, you're paying your taxes, you're paying your ad valorem taxes. Ad valorem is Latin for paying based on a cost. So when you actually read it, Devon gets paid based on his work, on his services. My company gets paid based on the work that we do. It says it in our name. When I lost a lot of that sight because everything just was moving at such a good pace. I never took a deep breath to understand that I reached some goals. And I needed to step back. My circle got different. My circle, I just lost focus. And losing focus, you tend to miss things, And the run was great. I lost some employees that I could have paid them more, but I didn't. And they ended up opening on their own title companies. So there's like 10 title companies that are open right now for people I trained to get there, right? Big shout out to them. I wish them all luck. I got to a point where I didn't want any of my employees to leave. So I built a daycare in my office on the 7th floor, built a daycare. I'd cater lunch every day. I was working these girls so hard. They were getting paid great money, but I worked them too hard. I worked them so hard that they missed things. I got to a point where I just wanted to close it. I just pushed it to closing. I'll fucking take the risk. It became where I lost some sight of what my job was. It became more business than anything else. And in title, you gotta have there's some ethics that you have to have, right? And I think I had lost some sight of it. And in that time, I got caught up in some stuff. I got caught up in a federal indictment. Thank God to my entire legal team and God and faith in myself that, you know, we missed something. I took the charge myself because I'm the captain of the fucking ship. And I'm ain't no punk here. So, like, I'll do that. But in doing that, I had to take a step back from the company on our 9th year at the top of my game.
Walk me through what happened.
So there was a particular Ponzi scheme with a couple of individuals.
How did you end up in it?
I ended up in it because when you take in so much business and you don't vet it all, you don't know what your exposure is. You don't know, if you don't do your due diligence on the person that you're bringing in, then you expose yourself to anything, and that becomes a liability. It's a risk.
Who ends up being the person that makes this a problem?
Okay, names I'm not doing.
Okay.
I don't do the names because I choose to keep that out of anything.
I mean, it's a federal court case, right? So we can look it up.
Yeah, we could definitely look it up.
Okay.
You could definitely look it up.
All right, so.
Either way, the person comes to me. I want him to be my client. As he's going to be my client, we're trying to look at some different deals to do. What that person needs is for me to be more lax on what I'm like. Look through it, but be a little bit lax, right? Like, don't worry about that type of thing. That's how it works, right? So he comes to me. I mean, he starts sending me to the Heat games front row. I'm hanging out with him. Kind of. He's got money. He knows all the ball players. He knows all the football players. I mean, if you look up the indictment, half the Heat was involved in the indictment too. There's a lot of people that were involved. 87 co-Ds. At 80, I'm 87. 86 co-defendants. Right? This was happening with multiple title companies. The only difference between them and me is we never took any money. I just pushed transactions through that I shouldn't have. Right? I have to take responsibility for that because if my girls called me from the office, hey, do we close it? I was the end all be all. Close the deal. You know, to tell somebody you do close it or you're gonna have a problem. You know, so the girls didn't do anything wrong. I made a mistake and told them to close something that I shouldn't have told them to close.
Why were you doing business with this guy?
Honestly, it was more of a lifestyle thing. I was trying to get the Dolphins contract. I was trying to get the NFL contract. I was trying to get the NBA contract for real estate. Those are rooms and tables that you can't just sit in, right? And I think for me, the allure was, okay, I've reached the height of every pinnacle organization that I can get to personally. I want the NBA. I want the NFL. And because what you want to do in any business, if you can make them a vendor for one, you can become a vendor for all. And to me, I was like, I want to close $50 million transactions. I want to close LeBron James when he comes here. Right? That's what I want to do. I want to close the biggest. I want to do that. I want to be part of the celebrity. I want that. And in order to get there, sometimes, you know, you got to get with the right crowd. I didn't get with the right. I got with the allure of what the crowd was, but not the right crowd, right? And the person that I was dealing with, extremely phenomenal salesperson, and everything on the surface level checked out, right? I'm not digging into your past or your life, but if I would have dug into your past, I would have found it, but I didn't. In doing that, and if you, like you said, you can look up the indictment. There's so many people removed. There's so many of the people that might be sitting next to you that were involved. 87 people between Dade and Broward is a lot of people. 6 degrees of separation. Somebody knows somebody. You know what I mean? So, that was my purpose. I wanted to get to that table, and I think being so eager to get to that table made me vulnerable, and made me make a stupid decision. Because I would have just not dealt with him. Because I made it 9 years without having to do any of this, right? And we close these transactions we're not supposed to. I'm still going at work. I don't even know. I did an assessment on the deal and I didn't see the risk. But just because I don't see the risk doesn't make it right. That's where I think that's the caveat to why the judge was very lenient with me. Because, and I appreciate her, but they did a forensic audit. I didn't steal any money. Other people stole money. I didn't steal any money. So what's my benefit? My benefit really was, it was a dumb decision. And I made an assessment of the risk factor and said, I don't see a risk here. But I also didn't know where the deal came from. I didn't know how he procured the property in the beginning. And if I would have known that, then it's something called an arm's length transaction. That's illegal. I didn't go that far. I ended up having to do, I didn't have to do any, and I had to do house arrest for 6 to 8 months, and I had to do 3 years probation. One of the only federal defendants in Miami who didn't have to do any time. And I didn't have to testify against anybody. The facts are the facts. I spent almost $250,000 on my legal team, because I was rejecting the fact that I did something wrong because I didn't steal any money. That was my whole thing. And I had to come to the realization that turning my head left and not looking at somebody doing something I'm just as guilty as they are. So there wasn't a financial gain, but there was a huge integrity loss. Because at this point in time of my career, I represented my culture, my community, my generation. We were one of the youngest companies that grew the fastest. And we were audited 4 times a year. So to successfully get through audits, the taxes, and you're riding high and everything, every bit of your ethics is at the top of moral compass, and you make a decision, one bad decision can throw it all away. And it was not, again, I just had a realization moment. If I would have consulted with my partner, she would have told me no. The same mistake I made it again. And I just realized it. Because if I would have told my partner X, Y, Z, she'd be like, no. She'd be like, no, we'll get it later. We don't need the NBA. We don't need the NFL. She would have said, we don't, because she had her own goals, and I think in her heart and her mind, she didn't want to get any bigger. And I never consulted. I wanted it all. And I thought it was good that we were making that type of money. But I could have cut the office in half, done half the business, and been happier personally. I'd have more time for my kids, more time for myself, more grounded. I'd have been a lot more grounded. Fast forward, I was able to stay in the real estate business because there was no sign of theft. And I had to do my 8 months probation from the time I was sentenced. First of all, if you go back and you look at the courtroom was packed for my day of sentencing, because what I did was, and it's all there, so it doesn't really matter. Going through the legal system, it's just like doing business. Somebody wants something, and I want something. We're gonna come to a term, or we're not. So what happened was I ended up staying out of. I waited. So there's a statute of limitations on everything, and my legal team advised me we're not gonna do anything. We're gonna sit tight, and we're gonna wait till all the code Ds take pleas. This is a business move. If you have 86 people who are already pleading and testifying, you don't need me. So you know what? Go find the money. So our approach was, don't worry about what deal we're going to take. Go find the money that my attorney would say, go find the client my money stole. Go find the money my client stole. But you can't, because he didn't steal any money. So that's what we lived on. We lived and died by that. Because imagine going to your attorney like, you're wrapped up in this and you didn't make any money for it. It's like, that wasn't the intention. I just said yes to close it. I shouldn't have done that, right? I did the risk analysis, and it passed the smell test. And let's go forward. When the government sold those homes, they made $6 million. So my risk assessment, risk and liability, that's my thing. So when you did that, that money paid all of my restitution. And $5 million of it went to the restitutions of all the victims, right? That weren't part of my case. It was, and that doesn't justify it. I don't want to justify it. The risk assessment was there, but I shouldn't have done it. It shouldn't come out like that. So we're probably going to cut that. The attorney and I waited till the last minute, last co-defendant, and then we went and made a deal with the prosecutors. And the deal was, this is what we want. You need us. I need you. Let's make a deal. So we made the business deal. And, it ended up coming down to, we wanted the judge to make her sentence based on my personal gain. They made that recommendation. Also, I want to stay in the real estate business. By all means, I can't lose everything I know. I've done too much good to get out. Go to sentencing, back to sentencing, I get the sentencing. And if I told you when I turned around, the courtroom was full. The courtroom was full with every person who wanted to see me fail. I mean, there's a great group of my family there. But every pew, 16 on both sides, filled to the end, people standing. Which just tells you sometimes when you get too big, there are more people who want to see you fail than anything else. So when the judge gave the ruling, she took the air out the room. You hear people gasp. That's how I know people wanted me to go somewhere. I didn't. I'd have to. I got my house arrest with an ankle monitor, and I had to do my probation, which whatever else, do that, I'll do it. I would have rather taken a year and a day, to be honest with you, because probation's a bitch. But nevertheless, I couldn't leave my kids. I didn't want to leave my kids. I was not going to leave the kids. I didn't want them to see their father that way. So the next day after I get off, I have to give up. I can't manage the escrow account. I basically make the company now, the same guy who built it has now destroyed his face. So I have to in order for the company to stay open, I got to remove myself. I'm still making money from it, but I got to remove myself. The big office in the sky that I worked so hard to get, I can't go in anymore. That was tough for me. Really tough for me. But I stepped back, did what I had to do. I stayed in the industry. I stayed with the business for 6 more months. And then I realized I was hurting them more than I was helping them. So I turned over my percentage to, my father. I gave back. I told him, take it to, I already built it for you. Run it the way I taught you, and you'll go somewhere far. And the company stayed open. Company never had any fines, no penalties, and it stayed open for another 2.5 years after that, until everybody kind of parted ways. It's hard when you take the captain from the helm. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's very, very hard, and good to go through it. It was difficult for everybody, but we had a good 10, 11-year run. Not good 9-year run before my issue. They were open 2 more years after that, and then I was a free agent, and social media is a bitch. Because although I spent so much money trying to keep my name off the internet, there's just people putting it out there. But I have to say this, I have so many clients and friends who know me as a person, who stayed loyal to me, and I ended up I was picked up by New World Title because Rudy Hernandez is very, very smart. He saw the value in taking me off the market and putting me under his flag because 1, the attention was there. And 2, I used to teach at some of these rallies and stuff. I used to be a public speaker. He saw me speaking at an engagement once, and 6 days after my sentence, I was back in the real estate business, and I was just doing it under another flag, and I didn't own the company, but I was doing like a business development, and then I just opened multiple offices for him. And back to doing the events. It was like getting back on the bike. So it took me some time to get my face back. Did that for a while, another 3 years, and then I think walking up that hill, and like cleaning up, like that act, cleaning up everything from it. I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a step back from real estate. I'm gonna take a step back. I got some money in the bank. Take a step back, and through this whole conversation, I've had kids. I've had multiple kids in this time. I don't really talk too much about my family at this juncture, since we're just talking about the business. But yeah, I had to take a step back, and that's when this project became. I stepped back. I put some money into delivery services. A couple sprinters that were pandemic about to hit. Once the pandemic hit, I went into to moving. I always look for a need. If there's a need, I'm willing to fill the void. Let me find the problem, and if I can be the solution to make money doing it, and that repeats through every part of my life, right? Because that's business, supply and demand. I learned that years ago. So I did that for a while, and then I wanted to do something different. This project is a pivotal point for me when I wanted to take money off the table and put legacy in front of everything. This is the point of the project where I grew up as a man that I could say this. Like, I figured if I strip myself of everything and I could still be the person I want to be, if I have nothing and I put it into one thing and I can still be the person that I want to be and smile every day, then my personal moral character will set its precedence again, and I will feel better for what I'm able to contribute to the community and just learning myself better as a person, who I am, right? So this project kind of evolved for some self-preservation, for some digging deep into myself and saying, I'm going to give it up to God, but I'm going to give it back to the community. And what I would bring to the community was basically me. I brought myself and a lot of the ideas and the people and the energy. And it's 4.5 years. This project doesn't make me any money. I still make money in real estate. This project doesn't make me nothing. But I'm okay with it because I see the lives that it's changing. I see the legacy that it's going to bring. And then I also see that it's starting to catch fire. Like, people see the potential now. They see the potential. They see what it could do for the neighborhood. I mean, the amount of mentees that we have here and kids that are in and out of here and just self-growth that people get to get when they come here and learn, it's going to be the next big thing. It's taking some time, and when it hits, it's going to hit. I mean, I feel where my stomach is in the same place when I was telling you when I had the title company and I was 2 months in and not making any money. I feel like that's the point I'm at. The phone's about to ring, right? I feel like it's about to curve and pivot into a direction that there'll be no stopping us once we start to grow. So I think we just went through and recapped everything in my life and how I got here and some trials and tribulations. I'm sure there's more questions. I don't even know how long we've been here, but
Sure. Well, let me just ask you a question.
okay.
If someone in the audience is in trouble right now, what's the one thing that you wish somebody had told you in 2009?
Ask me the question one more time.
If someone
Mhm.
watching this is also in a position that's not good or in trouble, what's one thing that you wish that you would have told them? Or what's one piece of advice that you would give?
I would tell them it's steadfast. You have to keep your head up and stand on whatever position that got you there. You got to believe the sun's gonna rise and the sun's gonna set no matter what. Your problems aren't stopping the world, so you can't stop ticking either, right? This too shall pass. People say it's another good one, but for me, I would tell them to take a deep breath and handle it, address it, run towards the fire to put it out. Don't let it burn everything in your life. And I think I learned that the hard way. Like, some parts of me are like self-sabotaging, right? I'll burn the whole house down only because I can rebuild it. So I think a lot of it is you gotta look deep inside of where you are and ask yourself if you can make it out. Do you want to make it out? And once you answer those questions, stay strong. Keep your head up.
All right. To pivot
Okay.
a little bit, the building that we're in, what's the historical reference and or value of it?
Oh, sorry, one second. People are late. So this building, wow, I had to take a deep breath. I appreciate you asking me the question. I think it was real therapeutic to go through some of that stuff right there. And you and I will look at it before we do anything with it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna trust you with that one. Historical importance of this building, the significance of this building. This used to be the 6th Street Plaza. This building has been here since the 30s. This building used to have apartments up top, and it had a fish market, a pharmacy, and a small grocery store type of thing. But the important part of this building is that the pharmacist that was here was known for getting the community all of their prescriptions, whether they had a prescription or not, because all he wanted to do was heal. If they didn't have a prescription, but he knew what it was, he was also a doctor. So if he knew what it was, he would help them with medicine, right? So there's that give back to the community that's come from this building that we're sitting in. This is the pharmacy. There is the food and beverage aspect of the fish market and the fish fry. And then they had like the grocery store, the knickknacks, the convenience store, which this building has always provided for the neighborhood. So we wanted to keep it with that same essence, but obviously revamp it into something new, something that'll make more sense, right? And the people that from this building and the stories that are told about this building are pretty epic. I should get some people on here so you can listen to them.
Who should I reach out to?
I will put a list together for you because Kimmy's mom, she used to get her meds here for her grandmother, and her grandmother didn't have money, and they used to give her credit, and it was medicine she needed. Yeah, we should get some stories. So this location has always done something special and pivotal to the community. This is also one of the only last original buildings that's still standing. That's what it means. That means so much to us because of that, right? It's still, and it's been remodeled, but the building's positions are in the original positions. They've never been moved, which is, you don't really see that. But the reason for that is just for construction knowledge. The whole building's concrete. So this was one of the first fully concrete buildings too in the neighborhood. Most homes in this neighborhood are sticks, right? So they call it the sticks, right? But yeah, that's a significant value. Yeah, this is like most of the children that were born here in Provident Hospital, hence the name is called Provident Market, would come here right after birth. So there's a lot of essence of this neighborhood that's been in this building. And usually when you're standing and people come in from the neighborhood that are, a little bit older, they'll tell you, did you know? And then the stories come out. So that's how I know some of those stories, because they always remind me of this building and what it meant to the community.
Can you tell me one of them?
Well, they also had a pool hall here at some point, and Mr. Phillip told me that some of the most beautiful women used to be in here. Mr. Phillip was here. And then after you go see the women, you go see the pharmacist if something's wrong. I thought that was a funny story. But these are the stories I get. This is neighborhood stories. This is one of many. One of many. I can't think of any more. But yeah, that's the historical essence of this building. Right. And we love this project. We love what we're doing, and we're going to keep it moving.
All right. Well, as a landlord, what's the hardest tenant decision you've had to make here on Sistrum?
Oh, you really want me to do that? My hardest, and I will, because I'm not going to run towards the fire. The hardest decision as the landlord in this building I've had to make was evicting Rap City. It's the hardest one. And the reason that it was difficult was because I came into this thing wanting them to succeed, and I still want them to succeed. I wish them all the best of luck. But there's a standard that I have to hold, and I can't compromise my integrity and my standards for someone else. That's what got me into my first issue, and I don't want to make the same mistake twice. So when I did that, I tried the best that I could. I bent. And I'm not a bender. I've never been that person. So I tried, and we have, when you have a contract, you got clauses. You break the contract, you end up with what it is, right? And I think that it was hard for me to make that decision because I really wanted them to stay. I just wanted it under the right conditions that we all could live and play and work all together. So that was hard to make that decision, especially with the backlash after I did it. But I don't tell the story because I don't think my business or the business that I do need to be public. You just pivot. And some of the actions that they took afterwards, listen, I take it on the chin. It is what it is. I'm still here. Remember that. With that being said, it was just difficult, man, because we had a good little run. The neighborhood was feeling it, but I as the landlord for this space have an obligation to four major parts of this community. One being the community first, two being the owner of the building and the standards he put. Three, all the commissioners that I deal with, the mayor, the chief of police, the safety of people I have to worry about, I can't overlook any of those things or any of those people when I made promises to them. And those promises are really simple: to uphold a standard that I just can't bet my standard, right? I have to hold the bar so high that I can still show people we can still have a good time, we can still do what we need to do, but we have to follow the rules, period. And again, risk and liability. I can't expose myself for somebody else. I don't even make money with you like that. You entered into an agreement with me as a licensing deal. First things first, you have a team, you have a partner. You had a choice to get in and out of this deal. I wasn't marrying you in the first day. I wasn't doing that. I was giving you have small opportunity to work here. You're under a strict code. If you get through this code, if you make this work, you might earn a lease. But I think that was it became tension because my licensing agreement means I'm in control. But then you want to run it your own way. Well, you're going to start a problem. And I don't back down. I'm not going to back down from nobody. But not especially when it's my name's on the line. So it became hard. It became personal between the two of us. Words were thrown. It got to the point where I didn't want to come here. In my own house that we built. And for me, I don't really sweat a lot of small stuff. But what the community needs to understand, which most of them do, most people do, you didn't build this kitchen. The kitchen was coming here with or without you. The seating outside was coming with or without you. You know how I know that? Because I signed the lease in 2021 with everything in it. So if I meet you in 2025, did you really bring the restaurant here? You didn't. The concept was going to be here anyway. It's just what brand was going to be there. So if you're in my house, you should follow my rules. Now, I think people don't understand, they're a new business, they're young, it is what it is. Maybe we just didn't say that, which is cool. I get that. Cool, let's part ways. Now that we parted ways, build your own shit. You might respect it more. See how difficult it is to do X, Y, Z, and how much money you put into it, and you'll respect it the way. I wish you all the best. But that was really hard because we had just gotten full. You know what I mean? And I wanted to keep it that way, but we couldn't sacrifice certain things, and we came to a standstill.
Who's the person's name who isn't in the news but actually decides what happens here?
What's his name?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I hear that. A.L. Petrez. He's the owner of the Fuse Group. Great man. Great man. He keeps his name out of the news. He keeps his name out of the headlines. He is he's an advocate for this community. He's the one who gave us the opportunity. And trust me, I rattle his feathers all the time, and he stays strong and steadfast with us.
You're the title company for Sistrunk, the entire area, right? I mean, I assume.
So here's I'm still in real estate, but I only do friends and family right now.
Okay.
Only because I love what I do when I do real estate. I love it to the point where I don't want to give somebody subpar service. So I only stick to when and with friends and family, I actively do 120 and 140 deals a month. I mean a year, excuse me, and that satisfies where I need to be. But um, I just want to be able to. This project just has taken my eyes and my focus off of that. But once I get the kitchen filled up again, I'm going straight back to real estate. I can't get it out of my blood.
Who do you have next in line for the kitchen?
God willing, I want Boozy Bites to take it from us because that's more of a structured partnership. I actually know the owner really well, and they see the vision of cooperation and cleanliness and late night delivery, and I'm looking forward to closing that deal as soon as possible.
One other question.
Sure, I'll take all your questions, Chris.
What do you want Dr. Sistrunk's grandkids if they walked the boulevard today to see that's still theirs?
Listen, I just met his kids the other day. They were here. Listen, for me, unity is all I really ever wanted for this neighborhood, right? I feel like that's my biggest goal that I and we have reached. All walks of life come through this place. And they said it couldn't be done before, but we're doing it now. They said nobody would come over the tracks to be here, but they do. We keep breaking different barriers, and I want them to see. I want them to see unity. That's the answer. I think that's what everybody wants. I think our America is everybody. So that's what I want this place to be. Our little ecosystem.
Okay. I'm a white guy coming into a brown space.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear is gentrification. How do you feel about the word gentrification?
I mean, listen, I feel like it's a word and it has a definition. It is what it is. What it isn't, it's not going to control how we move. People have to separate themselves from the word, right? Gentrification is what it is. You are gentrifying. You're remodeling, you're rebuilding. But the idea is that we as a community have to have literacy. You have to be financially literate to understand, right? And that's we do those classes here. You can always call me, reach out. We can talk about it. We can't sell our neighborhood short because once you sell it, you can't tell somebody what to do with it. Okay? The simple fact is this. There's no more land in Florida. First, let's understand that. So since there's no more land, you're going to continue to build for a tax base. That's what the city's here to do. On Sistrunk, we have the largest lots, one of the largest lots in the community in Fort Lauderdale. Start there. So if we have the largest lots, you can see in the future, this is going to be worth the most money. The reason I say that is because on this side of the tracks, it's called Sistrunk. You cross the tracks, you go into 6 that connects to Victoria Park. These aren't things that I'm making. This is what I'm telling you. These are facts. If the value on Victoria Park is $1 million for a lot now, it's coming this way. We should prepare for it. We should embrace it. We can remodel and rebuild our own homes. That could be one of them. We could take part in gentrification. And by taking part, I mean don't sell grandmama's house for $500,000 less than it's worth. Or maybe your uncle has a property here. Maybe you help him build something. I mean, we have to take part because for the idea of people to think that real estate's going to stop, you're out of your mind. For you to think that just stop everything and wait. Nobody's waiting for you. The sun sets, the sun rises. That's it. So if there's nowhere else to build, now it's supply and demand. Don't give up your supply and demand higher standards. So be part of gentrification, right? Be part of the small business that's going to open in your community. Talk to your politicians, speak to the CRA, find out for this funding, call Urban League. If we're not progressive and we're not productive, then why does our voice matter? I never understood that. And one, I don't care that you're a white man, because to me, you're a human. You're a brother to me. That doesn't bother me. Gaining your trust to come here was good enough for me. Now that you're here with me, I demand a level of same respect that I would get if I walk in a room. It also becomes the norm. It's normal to see Chris here. It takes, in the beginning, it's always going to be a little difficult, but now it's the norm. I feel like everybody here respects you to the highest ability, right? Because you set a bar and I'm following the standard that you want. And if we don't break, then they can't break us. And I think that's the same thing in the community. If you can't break you, then you can ask for more. If we want a black developer to build a building, then we need to go find the black developer. That's all we got to do. Make the calls. There are a lot of real estate professionals, black real estate professionals. Have they looked and tried to push Ford Systrunk any faster than the current developers? Or did you just think that it was going to stay dirty Systrunk forever? It's like a catch-22 at this point. I say all that to say this. I think we have to empower people with literacy to understand what can and can't be done. We have to hold on to our properties, and we have to be part of the change. Because it's going to come one way or another. You can't be pushed out if you sold it. We just have to figure it out. I mean, there's opportunity and there's options. I don't believe that we have a right anymore to say we don't know, when all you got to do is talk to your phone, and it'll tell you. I mean, I remember looking for information in microfiche. You had to go to the library. Like, it's not hard to get the answer. So you can either ask me, you can ask your phone. I just think we need to stick together. We need to stick together. We need to elect the right people. You need to make your vote count, because a lot of people think their vote don't count, but there's city meetings all the time. See, this is one of the things that I learned that needs to be taught to people, right? I used to think like maybe other people. Oh, the city's not going to do nothing, or my vote doesn't count, or what if I know the commissioner? It does matter. I walked in the parade with the commissioner this Sunday because I know she's going to be there, and I know she needs my support. But guess what? I had her ear for 20 minutes walking down the street to tell her what I think needs to happen. Whether it happens or doesn't happen, she needs to hear from us, right? So if you attend a meeting, then you can see what's on the agenda. Here's the one thing I am proud of. I'm proud of Fort Lauderdale for standing up for the basketball court. You guys showed up for that. You stopped it from happening. So it can happen. Just want to show you a fact. We showed up. I love you guys. Hospitality is everything in Fort Lauderdale. When they try to take our 4 a.m. liquor license, we showed up for that. And you got it. You didn't get everything you wanted. You negotiated. You still have it. Now you just can't have open containers in the street, which is probably better for the cars and your tires and just trash in general, right? Don't drink on the street, but you still have the 4 a.m. license. So I think people show up for what they want to. And I just wanted to use those two. I have no political issue with either of them. I wasn't there to make the decision, but I just wanted to show real time that it does happen. You can make the change, but you got to show up. If we turn out in numbers, they have to listen. If we want something different, then we got to find them. You know, what I learned, because, I mean, Chris, now that you've been here, you've seen every commissioner, the mayor, police chief, sergeant, like, they're humans. They're my friends now. Like, we have a personal relationship. When we talk about what we need for the neighborhood, we talk directly about what we need for the neighborhood. But as a small business, I have to apply by what they need too. This isn't a blue lives, yellow lives. This is just, we're human. This is our neighborhood. We need to just stick together. That's why I've been trying to force that bridge or build that bridge so everybody can walk over it. You know, I find, and I say this with pride, I find so much honor standing next to the chief of police and the commissioner and Parks and Rec. It's like, this is my city, right? It's my city. So if I need to talk to them, then I could reach out to them and talk to them, right? Here's my phone number. Call me if there's an issue. I need to work with them. I got to have a conversation. I think that's start with conversations. Speak, meet, learn. It's all we can. We have a fighting chance if we do that. But if we don't, and we keep dividing, we're not going to have anything. So that's because I noticed this, other cultures unite. And when they unite, they own the block. I think in our community, and I'll say this, I think there's a lot of jealousy in our community. I don't have a problem with anybody winning. I'm proud of you if you win. You're probably doing something I don't do anyway. You want to, like, we have to unite. So I don't think gentrification is a bad thing. I think the way it's been handled over the years, it's been handled wrong. And I'll be honest with you, part of me leaving real estate was because I was part of the problem. It's nothing for me to be the guy knocking on your door trying to get your house from you. I could do that in a heartbeat. I could put on shorts in the summer and bang on the doors because everybody's home, and I could probably procure 15 to 20 houses a week because I'm that good at that. But when I'm doing it with a financial gain in mind, staying within an ethical line, and I'm asking to get your property so cheap so that I make more money. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? But if I go and I prey on the weak, I'm ethically wrong, but I'm not legally wrong. There's a battle right there of good and evil right there. And I just didn't want to take part in. I don't want to take part in it anymore. That's why I feel like everybody needs to be educated and learn.
Well, on that note, where can they go and educate themselves?
Well, so for the city and the voting and the meetings, all you got to do is go to cityoffortlauderdale.org, put in your email address, be part of the newsletters. You'll get that information. As far as financial literacy, you can contact us here. We have a bunch of classes. You can go to the Urban League. They have financial literacy classes and real estate classes. You can go to the SCORE is another great place. So score.org. These are all local free ways to figure that out. You can go to the YMCA, and you can look at their chart. They have financial literacy classes. I mean, the rest is all police department. You got to reach out to the police department and, your commissioners. You just go find your commissioner. Their email's there. Most of them have JAs. You contact them. You reach out to them and see if they'll talk to you. And if they don't, go bang on their door. Trust me, I do it all the time.
All right. And this area is known for flooding during hurricanes. Is that primarily what keeps the value of this particular area down?
So it's a great question, and it's a great question, but there's an emotional tie to that, because the answer is yes. Because before, and this most cities do this, most essential services and plumbing go to the places that are paying the highest taxes and the ones you want to build up sooner. There is a strong push right now they're doing all the roads as you see it, right? And I'm going to give you some facts, right? I'm going to give you some game. Here goes some facts, right? If you ever see this happening in your community, don't sell. This means bigger pipes mean more houses, which means more usage. It means your city is trying to stabilize your neighborhood for the growth to come. That's how you have to look at things. There goes some literature, right? You see the guys, why is my road tore up? You hate it, deal with it, because guess what? When they're done, you won't see the water puddles in your street anymore. But by that time, the city needs to get their money back by tax basis. So now people are going to buy, they want bigger houses. Now you know it's coming. So the reason it was done was because we're just slightly lower on the sea level, okay? And that's done on purpose. They dug a lot of the dirt from this side of the street to build on that side of the street and then put us right on top of it. There's a new ordinance that's, I think most of the buildings on the commercial corridor have to be lifted. I think it's 2.5 or 3 feet, which lets you know that if the flooding, if we get into one of those torrential rainstorms, the water is going to be pushed here. Our water retention center is at the end of this trunk. These aren't things that are, you should know them, but if you don't know them, that's where the water has to be pushed. Okay. The new piping and plumbing is going to eliminate a lot of it, but our pump stations are down there. I think we just spent, God knows what they just spent on the pump station down the street. I don't know the number. I wish I did, but that's where your tax dollars goes. And it's, it was done. Flooding was done like that to preserve the higher end properties. And that's just what it is. Okay. Now the piping and plumbing is being done for us, and we need to build up our neighborhood. That's what it comes down to.
How long is that expected to take?
I have to look at the chart, but they have you go to utilities department and water and sewer. I think it's a 2-year project. I believe so. But they have now. They've been moving. Fort Lauderdale is extremely good about not keeping construction going on forever. Okay, so they've been moving. I think last January they started on the outskirts. They're all the way in the inner now. How far down they went, I don't know because I can go look, but I think it's a 2-year project, which is that's tough. But they're doing a job. You know what I mean? They're doing a job. I think it's going to take that. They're going to have to too, because you got to remember, every time a building goes up, once a building goes vertical, right? It might be one building, but there's 800 units, 800 toilets, 800 showers, or however many. It could be double because if it's a 2-bedroom and 2 bathrooms. So that's more water. That's, you know. So you got 800 units there. You got 600 over there. They're putting another 1,200 across the street. Like, it's coming. It's inevitable. It's coming. So, you know, and we need it. We're going to need it. We're definitely going to need it.
What's made you the happiest by being here?
The kids. The kids make me the happiest.
Your kids?
My kids always make me happy. But my children are very fortunate. And, you know, I had to ask them, and I got to reassure them all the time. Because this project takes so much time from me that I take time from them. I love you guys. Daddy's working on it, okay? But when I mean the kids in the neighborhood. I love when they come in here and they're like they've seen, almost like they feel like they don't deserve it. How did you do all this? And I get to say back to them, you can do it too. It's the hope that we actually provide that make me the happiest. It's the strength that we empower in the people that are here. There's some of our barbers, there's certain people who started working here that were never worked side by side with a white person. Now that thought pattern has changed. So those are the effective changes that make me the happiest. When I see a young black, brown kid coming home from school and I notice him walking by the shop at the same time every day, and then he's just hanging outside, and we invite him inside and say, hey, you want to be in here? Why don't you sweep up this hair? I'll bring you a burger. He's afraid, can I sweep every day? Come sweep every day, but you got to be here consistently. Oh, by the way, if your grades go below a B, you get fired. Really. I want to see your report card every quarter. And then me doing that out loud in front of any one of the people in here has spread like wildfire because now Greg does it. Now HT does it. And they look for their own ways. Hey, how's your grades? You got 6 men, 10 men, 20 men. We built a village to hold them accountable. And that's what I love the most. You know, that's why there's not a lot of financial gain in it. But I mean, listen, when I took my first mentee on, kid brought a gun to school. 2 weeks after I take him on, he took a gun to school. Now I got to shake him up. I got to pull him in here, sit his ass down. We're going to write this 6-page letter to your principal. And then you're going to put on some good clothes, and we're going to go see her. And you're going to do this by yourself because you put yourself here. If you need me, I'll come to the school. But you're going to go do this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And he did it. We got him back into school. Thank God. Miss Allen, you're the best. She gave him another try. Because sometimes you have to ask why they're doing this. I mean, he just lost his father. And it wasn't a real gun. It was one of those pellet guns. Nevertheless, I told him to consider it a real gun because it could have hurt somebody, right? But he had just lost his father. And when I met him, he walked up to me. He was like this close to me. And I didn't know why. But I was like, "Are you good?" And apparently I resemble his dad. And he just started crying. So I took him in. Well, now he's the head of the Police Explorer program, and he's about to get into the academy. That's pretty fucking epic. You know who paid us to do that? Nobody. I feel like that's just proof that this center and humanity itself, we can do this shit. We just got to do it together. If everybody on the corridor asks this kid, how's your grades? Guess what becomes primary for him? It's fucking grades. If we stop looking at them like they're a threat, which, listen, the violence between these, I don't even want to call them YNs because I think that's just so bad. Between the young youth has become very violent They're violent because they need love. I can't say that. I mean, you could call what you want, and the internet and social media and all that other stuff. There's a whole bunch you can get into, but for me, that's the best. I see these 3 little girls. They walk every day past the shop, and they're always looking in. And I asked them if they wanted some water. They came in and got some water. I see them every day. Hi, Mr. Frasier. What if they weren't talking before? Now they're comfortable in their neighborhood. So for me, that's powerful. So the kids to me come first. The connection between the police and our youth currently right now on this block in Fort Lauderdale is 180-degree change. I attribute a lot of that to us. I attribute a lot of that to myself. I attribute that to the chief, sergeant. They have made monumental efforts to unite the neighborhood, and I'm so proud of that. And I think lastly, which I don't think there should be an order, all of them are equal to my passion because I feel my voice trembling because I'm so excited about it. When I see the elderly or the people who have been here before me and they look at me and said that we did a good job, that means the most to me. It means that they're happy with what's new. And when I ask them why, they're like, well, your lights are always on. I saw you when this place was empty. You've been working in here for 3 years. That's never going to open. I thought it never was going to open either. So I think that those 3 are my biggest things that make me happy on a current basis when I'm here. And it's the stories. It's just, you see the people are just, they're everything. I love getting the approval of the people that were here before me. I just love the most effectively helping the kids. They don't want me to correct them. They always give me a look. They give me a look the first time I do it, but then they don't anymore, and that's because I'm doing it repeatedly. It's almost like when I correct one of the boys, young men, the teenagers, pick that shit up. They don't understand anything. If you can't talk to them any other way. But I'm telling you to pick it up, put it in the trash, and I'm telling you, with a little bit of inspiration, just do better. You can do it. People don't know how far that goes. Sometimes these kids come in here and look and see all your cameras and they're like, you might have inspired them to maybe do a show. I mean, those are the most important things to me. I mean, obviously, we're a for-profit business, and the people will come because we built it, but the kids, the elderly, and the unity in the community between, when I got here, that whole Blue Lives Matter shit was going on. Blue lives, black lives, all that shit was happening. So there's a disconnect. There was a huge disconnect between Fort Lauderdale PD and people. I feel like that bridge, we built the bridge because you have to respect that I'm a business owner. I have to work with the police. This isn't, oh, you're a snitch. What do you mean? You break into my building, I'm calling them. I'm not coming. Right? So the officers are always in the back of the parking lot. I say that because we have an understanding. What that understanding is, it's real simple. They're respecting me as a business owner, and I'm asking them to respect myself and my patrons for being here. You see something that you have to handle it. But coming in here stereotyping what these young men are doing or how they're moving, they're in the back corner smoking. I don't know if they got a license. And I suggest you don't ask them either. Like, this is their safe space. You see them walking down the street, you don't got to profile them. All the kids sitting in front of the shop, and they're there because they're probably thinking of an idea to sell to me. So let's look at them. Let's take it down, and let's see if everybody acts right. We're 3 years into this shit. There's 5, 6, 7 police cars in the back. Everybody's waving to the cops. We've turned down the heated, emotional angle of it and made it more human. So I'm proud of that too. I'm really proud of that.
Dude, I've had you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.